House Speaker Jill Krowinski is joining us now on What Matters This Week, basically to talk about the legislative session and to get her reaction, of course, to the State of the State address on Wednesday. Madam Speaker, appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Off the bat, I do want to talk about the fact that right now the House is meeting remotely and you have agreed to do so until January 18th. However, we know those 2 weeks are going to go by fast. What's the plan beyond that?
So the legislature is operating remotely for the first 2 weeks of session. Given this latest variant and the huge increase in case counts and the increase in hospitalizations, we wanted to make sure that when we come back, we're doing it in a way that's safe for everyone, and it's not safe right now. So our Joint Rules Committee will be meeting and hearing additional testimony and feedback from public health experts about what we can do, any extra measures to make our building more safe, or what are the certain metrics that we need to be tracking that would say at some point you need to pivot and you need to go remote for X period of time because of the circumstances at hand. So that's what we are going to be doing in the next several days.
And when it comes to COVID-19, what are your priorities to get in front of lawmakers?
Well, we have a once in a lifetime opportunity with the federal relief funds to do some really incredible and powerful work to help us build back better. And what we have learned from this pandemic is that the issues we were working on before, like affordable housing and access to childcare, workforce development, and so many other things have just made that it's just made worse by this pandemic. And so we are going to, we have already hit the ground running and are laser focused on addressing all of these different factors that are impacting our hardworking families. I know folks are exhausted from this pandemic, but we're going to keep up our work to bring relief and a new recovery plan that leaves no Vermonter behind.
And I know things are still getting in motion, and there's a lot of welcoming and housekeeping things to get underway. But what's first on the agenda, so to speak?
Well, we are going to be taking up a bill around town meeting to help local towns and cities be able to do that in the safest way possible, how they operate for town meetings. So we are expediting that bill. We'll be taking that up in the House on Friday. And then we are working really hard to get our budget adjustment bill passed that will have many different policies in it addressing the pandemic and making adjustments to what we passed last year, given the new circumstances now. So that our committees are deep into that work around budget adjustment, ensuring that we're doing everything that we can to help people get through this.
And Madam Speaker, I know there are important issues when it comes to changing the state's constitution that will be addressed this session. Can you walk me through the as well when the legislature, when the House will look into this?
Absolutely. We have two constitutional amendments to vote on this legislative session. Prop 2 that eliminates slavery from our Constitution, and Prop 5, which is the reproductive freedom amendment. That is the two. So we are looking to take a public hearing on Prop 2 the week of the 17th, and then most likely the following week have a hearing on the reproductive freedom amendment with a vote following that. So because we were working remotely and because we wanted to make sure we knew how we were going to be coming back, the timing of those votes has not been finalized. But my goal is to have them done at the end of January, early February.
And this is something that has to go in front of voters as well. So is the hope this November 2022?
That's the process. So the timeline that's set out by the legislature this year, the House has to vote on it. And if we vote yes, it automatically gets sent to be on the ballot in November. And we are planning to do that.
Okay. I do want to talk about the governor's State of the State address on Wednesday. Did anything surprise you about what you heard?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I think we had a lot of shared goals. We all are talking about what we want to do around affordable housing, access to affordable childcare, talking about workforce development. So I think that's great that we're all still talking about some similar priorities and goals. I was surprised by, I just didn't hear a lot about the pandemic and ways that we will be looking at or working together to address this surge and this variant. I also was looking for more around our state college system and what we can do to support those state colleges across the state. And childcare, we passed a very strong multi-year bill last year that laid out a plan for how we can support and make childcare more affordable for families across the state. And the only challenge we've been having with that is with the state IT system holding us back. And so I'm just interested in hearing more details about what is different or changing from what we've already done in childcare.
We heard some commitments yesterday when it came to dollar amounts, and the budget address has yet to happen. That will happen in about 2 weeks. But is there anything already when it comes to investing money into this state, into some of the governor's programs that you are looking into hearing more about?
Well, absolutely. You know, when it comes to housing and childcare and workforce development, those are the big ones. But I think it is really important for us to be looking at other areas that have really been impacted by the pandemic. For example, mental health. There are long waits to get access to a social worker or a therapist or a psychologist. And we have done some policy changes to make it easier for people, including access through telemedicine, but it's not enough. And so mental health is one that I am concerned about and that we will be doing more work on.
Do you think there is enough of money when it comes to that the governor has set aside?
Well, we haven't seen all the details, right? His budget address is going to be later this month. What I do know that we have is $600 million in ARPA funds, that the federal relief funds that we have set aside to do more work and investing in our shared priorities. So we have that discussion ahead of us. And we have just a lot more work to do when it comes to, you know, climate change and just, you know, our public schools have gone through a lot. And I know that there's been a lot of concern about how our kids are doing. And I think that's really important for us to talk about too. I think we're coming back into this building knowing that there's been a lot happening with COVID and that the challenges that we've been working on still exist. We've made some progress, but we need to continue to look into what's worked and what hasn't, and where do we need to, what investment can we make that will do the best and do the best good for Vermonters.
Speaker Krowinski, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.